I'm doing a report over the making and presidency of John F. Kennedy. Alright, so I'm going to start off with a true story, what matured John F. Kennedy to what he was. Before he joined the military in the Navy in World War II, he was more of a childlike adult, very immature. So on a balmy night in 1943, PT-109 and two others were patrolling for Japanese warships near the Blackhead Strait in the South Pacific. The unchildlike skipper of 109 powered down two of the three engines to conceal it from Japanese spotter planes. It is quiet, and the skipper is half awake. He doesn't hear or see the destroyer Emigiri until it is near too late. The skipper was shocked while peering through his binoculars, seeing the Emigiri not only 250 yards away. As the destroyer is speeding towards PT-109, the skipper quickly turns on the engines and rapidly spins the wheel. PT-109 wasn't quick enough. Emigiri sliced through the mahogany hull of the puny boat. The two American boats nearby, PT-162 and PT-169, know a fatal blast when they see one. The two boats speed away without even looking for survivors. The men of PT-109 are all alone. The skipper is responsible is Lieutenant John F. Kennedy. John must get his men to safety. Half of PT-109 is gone. Kennedy gathers his crew to wait for rescue. The thing they don't know is that rescue won't be coming anytime soon. Once he realizes that, he knows he must devise a plan. They cannot simply go to a nearby island, for they are a housing to thousands of Japanese soldiers. John is uncomfortable giving orders in a life-threatening situation like this. He was always used to taking directives from his patriarch, Joseph Kennedy. Kennedy finally takes charge. "We'll swim," he orders the men. As he looks at a nearby island, him and the men cling to a piece of timber as a flotation device. As they approach the island, the crew notices it is nothing but a bunch of sand and a few trees add to it. As they settle on the island, John devises another plan. He and another crew member will swim to a nearby island, which is closer to the Ferguson Passage, a popular route for American PT boats. When they eventually arrive at the island, they will try to signal any nearby boats. They never made it to the island. John returned to the island that they began on. Days pass, and Kennedy and his men survive by choking down live snails and getting water from leaves. They were eventually rescued by a few villagers from New Zealand. The sinking of PT-109 is what made John F. Kennedy who he was. John's motivation for politics began when his older brother died, as his B-17 was shot down and he was killed in action. His father always expected Joseph Kennedy Jr., John's older brother, to be involved in politics, but he never made it, so John took his place. Kennedy, the youngest and most decorated president since Eisenhower, won with a lead of 17/10%, giving him a victory of 303 to 219 electoral votes. Many factors explain why the election was so close. Kennedy gained since there was an economic recession, which hurt the GOP, and he had the advantage of 17 million more Democrats than Republicans. Also, the votes that Kennedy gained among Catholics almost evened out the new votes Nixon gained among Protestants. Kennedy's campaigning skills outmatched Nixon's. In the end, Nixon's emphasis on his experience carried little weight, and he wasted energy by running in all 50 states other than focusing on the swing states. Kennedy used his large, well-funded campaign organization to win the election, secure endorsements, and with the aid of the last of the bid bosses to get out the vote in the bid cities. He relied on running mate Lyndon B. Johnson to grasp the South and use television efficiently. This election was very significant. It was the first presidential election where all 50 states participated in an election, because Alaska and Hawaii were annexed to made a state in 1959. John Kennedy, along with his wife Jackie, brought a new spirit into the country. He went out against the Soviet Union when they were installing missiles in Cuba. The Soviet Union and the United States were just minutes away from war when the Soviets backed down after U.S. battleships ordered Russian ships that were carrying missiles to turn back. Kennedy helped begin the civil rights movement and was an excellent public speaker. He had several innovative ideas for progress that were later put into motion by Lyndon B. Johnson. Kennedy did not always do just what was best for in his best interest politically, but what was in his best interest of the country. Any questions?
Made me think of a lot of things. I'll tell you that. To hear it from your point of view, everything you said was accurate. But my memory serves the things that were went around that era.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is, in my mind, that is opposition in election. I don't know if y'all learned the periodic table yet? And the coolest bumper sticker of any president, of any presidential candidate. AU H2O. He ran against Barry Goldwater. And lots of little things like that pop in my mind. I thank you for a little nostalgic thing.
Mm-hmm.
What made you pick him?
I'm very interested. He's just where he was elected, the time and the era, right around the Cold War, and he started the Civil Rights Movement. Just an interesting presidency.
Did you pick him because you were interested in the Cold War?
Yeah, a lot of it. Just.
And out of all the things that you read about him or studied about him, was there one thing that really stood out for you, that something he did maybe that really impacted the country or his relationship with people? What stood out?
Well, probably just him ordering the U.S. battleships to go turn the Soviet ships around in Cuba and to fall back, just to keep the nuclear war and stuff away.
Because of the way politics is so partisan these days, you know, people sticking only to their party, do you think he would have a shot of being elected today for a first-time president as he did back then?
Probably.
Based on his personal views that...
I don't think he would, probably, because just the way the two parties have changed so much since then. I don't know. He may, but I'm not really. I don't think he would get elected.
So, what lesson would you get out of that?
Wait, what do you mean?
Well, you see the impact he had, and you feel it's a positive impact.
Hmm.
But today, because he was a Democrat, I mean, do you think, what lesson did you get as a voter?
I would just, like I said, just that they have changed so much, just because I didn't know that this much about him and that he was a pretty good guy and stuff just back then, and just how a lot of it is now, just politically.
It's interesting that you picked this. I was in the car a lot. I drove to Austin Tuesday night. I can't remember when. Tuesday night, came back yesterday, so that's about 10 hours in the automobile on talk radio and listening to stuff. But they've just released a long series of new pictures of the Kennedy family,
Mm-hmm.
of the White House family and things going on. So there was a lot of conversation on the radio about, and you'll be confused on the radio a lot of times because they refer to John F. Kennedy a lot of times as Jack.
Mm-hmm.
Is the name that he went by Jack a lot. And they discussed the Kennedy curse, which I don't know if you're familiar with all of the family members that have died actually in airplane crashes, and also two that were assassinated. Four prominent Kennedys were killed in plane crashes, and two Kennedys were assassinated as public figures. So there were some that would say being a Kennedy is not that great a thing to do, but he had a very interesting presidency. I'm glad you picked that topic.
When he was killed, there was a lot of analogies between him and Lincoln.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Mm-hmm. It's interesting.
And you mentioned his brother being shot down. Do you know what he was doing when he was shot down?
I wasn't really sure about that.
He was flying a B-52 completely filled with dynamite to crash it into the guns of Navarone. You've probably seen that old movie. Because they couldn't blow up these big guns the Germans had when he was down. And he was going to crash it. Now, they had another plane flying behind him. He was going to bail out at the last minute. And it was going to be taken in by remote control. And just at the point where he was ready to bail out, something went wrong. He got hit by something, by another plane, or you don't know, it just blew up.
That's weird. It's crazy too. Just.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.